My mother and dad, they went to old Bellevue School, which is between here and Temperance. The building's not there anymore. I don't even remember the building, but
Bellevue.
Yeah, Bellevue over at
Yeah,
had a
that's
store
right,
over
yeah.
there too. Jim Campbell ran the store. They had to walk or rode the horse to school.
What did they tell you about the importance of education? Do you remember anything?
Yeah, I think all of them just said, we need to get an education, but back then, that was just automatic. You went to school.
Had to go.
The first four years I went to Bellevue, which was Bellevue High School. Of course, it was grades 1 through 11. I attended the first, second, third, and half of the fourth because they closed the school at Christmas the year that I was in the fourth grade. I went in, I started in 1935. 1935, 36 was my first year. 36, 37 was my second grade. 37, 38 was my third. And so I was there in 38. And in January 39, I went to Temperance. It had a front porch, and it was a square, sort of a square building. It had 4 rooms downstairs. It had windows on 2 sides because there was no electricity in that school. It had a big hall, and as well as I remember, in the hall there was some kind of a cooler type thing that had water. We all learned to take a sheet of notebook paper and fold it and make a cup
Oh, yes.
so we could drink water. But I also had a little collapsible cup that I carried to school.
What was that made out of?
I think aluminum. Of course, we had wood heat in the school. My first and second grade had 4 classes in a room.
Did you have running water?
No electricity, and water doesn't run.
So when you had no electricity, how late in the afternoon in the winter could you stay in the school, or did you have lamps, or what did you have?
I don't remember lamps at all in school. We were at school 9 to 3. The school had an upstairs. The auditorium was upstairs. I remember going up. I guess we went weekly to chapel or assembly or whatever they called it. I don't know what they called it. I particularly remember that in the fall, the principal always read John Whitcomb Riley's poem, When the Frost is on the Pumpkin. I remember that.
And who was the principal?
Mr. Walter Tucker. And I remember that one of the teachers lived in Lynchburg. Well, she went home on weekends, but she boarded out in the community. But when she went home, she would bring back books from Jones Memorial Library. They had a small library there, but she would bring books for children and all, and I read a whole lot because she brought books back for us.
So there wasn't a library in the school?
Yes, there was a small library,
Uh-huh.
but she had to supplement it. It had very few books in it.
Do you remember that teacher's name?
She was a Miss Vaughn, and she married a Beard then, so she became Mrs. Beard. She was the high school English teacher, I believe. Well, my first grade teacher was also my first, second, third, and fourth grade teacher.
Okay.
She moved along with me. She was a lady that lived in the neighborhood.
And what was her name?
Her name was Frances Drummond, and then she married, and she was Frances Fulcher. In those days, they did not give a married teacher a job because they thought the husband would have the job. So I think she was married for a few years before she let people know it.
And who was she married to? Tyler Fulcher?
Louis Fulcher, Tyler's brother.
Louis. How did you get to school?
I walked. I lived next door to the school.
So who attended Bellevue School? Who were the kids? What neighborhoods were they from?
All the area there. The Indian Creek children, the Mount Pleasant children. The Mount Pleasant children didn't come until I think they were in the 5th grade, maybe. Later, when I went to Temperance, the Sandage children came, and some of the Lowesville kids came. But basically, this was Indian Creek and Gidsville, that area.
And they came to Bellevue from first grade to 11th?
Right. I remember having reading classes. I remember going to the board and writing my numbers because somebody complained that I was taking too long because I was making my zeros so perfect. So that made me remember that. We had spelling. We had double desks. We sat two together. We had recess. We went outside and played. I don't remember any play equipment at Bellevue. None at all. I think they had a basketball court outside, but I don't remember having anything, any swings, anything like that. Then when we went to Temperance, we had a swing set.
Do you remember which?
Dick and Jane.
You had Dick and Jane back
I
then.
had Dick and Jane, and they had Puff and Spot.
What did you do about lunch? Did you bring lunch?
I carried lunch, I guess. I don't remember going home. I was close enough to go home. After I went to Temperance, if Mother was going to have soup, I would go home. That was the only day that I would go. I liked her soup. Other than that, I carried lunch. And neither school had any facilities for any food.
Who were your best friends at Bellevue?
Doris Ann Cash, Barbara Campbell. Barbara Campbell was in a grade below me. Ella Francis Forcher. I sat with Ella Francis Forcher one year, I remember. One thing that I remember about that was Ella Francis was left-handed. And our teacher taught her to turn her paper so that she wrote right. And when we went to Temperance then, some of them came from another school. All the left-handed children wrote upside down because they turned their paper this way. They had not been taught to turn it that way. And I thought that was very good that I had a teacher that knew that. I'll have to tell you, I love school. I was most upset if I ever had to miss. And the first day I missed, it was about the third grade and I had chicken pox, so I had to miss school.
That made you.
That made me most unhappy. Do you know where Temperance School is?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, just before you get to Temperance, if you go from this way, there's a road called Dug Hill Road.
Mm-hmm.
If you take Dug Hill Road, it comes out at a fork that comes out on, what's that road, Morris? One road goes toward Indian Creek and the other road goes back toward 778, when it was right there near that corner. My father ran a store in that corner, and then the school was next door to it. It was a lot, he had a vacant lot next to it, and then the school.